It's Tony Blazer back with another video for my channel. As anyone who follows my channel knows, I'm a huge fan of motorcycles in general, and I just picked up a new toy I thought I'd share with everyone. I picked up a 2018 Z900RS. If you're not familiar with the Z900RS, it was a new model here in 2018. This is the first year for the bike. It came in this kind of iconic, almost root beer and orange color, which is, I believe, mimics the original Z1, which was Kawasaki's kind of super bike. It's a little before my time. I never had one of those. I did have a 73 CB350, but it certainly wasn't anywhere near the performance of the original Z1. But I love the Kawasaki street bikes. I had a 2004 ZRX 1200, which is a similar bike, certainly in spirit to this, a retro kind of Eddie Lawson looking machine. I adored that motorcycle. I really kind of regret selling it after I got rid of it. Great combination of performance and comfort. And I think the Z900RS here is kind of doing the same style of thing, where you get the performance of a modern sport bike, but with the much more comfort. And I love the retro styling. This root beer color, it's kind of, I'm not sure how it comes across here in the video, but if you see it in the sun, it sparkles. There's a year, I think it's maybe 2020, has the green. I kind of prefer that color combo, but this was a really good deal. I ended up buying it from Motorcycles of Dulles here in Virginia. They had it. The gentleman had it beforehand. Barely rode it. It only has 1,400 miles on it. It saved me about $3,000 over a new one. And the bike really hasn't changed to my knowledge, other than maybe you have a new special edition this year that has some upgraded suspension components. But of course, I'm not racing the bike. I'm not worried about that. He did add an acropovic exhaust to it. There's also an accessory side stand. Center stand that he added. A couple little sliders here in case, heaven forbid, you drop it. Other than that, I think it's pretty much stock. I've ridden the bike a couple times. He also cleaned up the tail of the bike here. Gives it a little more, I guess, minimalist look. I really like that as well. Love this motorcycle. Last year, I bought a Yamaha Warrior, a 2008 Warrior. I was looking for something that was a little more comfortable. I have hip issues. I need to have my hip replaced, and the crotch rocket thing, I just can't ride those bikes anymore. And I went to the Yamaha Cruiser because I wanted something that I could ride without having those comfort issues. And this bike actually, I put about 45 minutes on it at a time, and I had no problem, so I was like, I figured that's good. I don't go on all-day rides, really. I just kind of look for a nice day to do a few hours to the countryside. And while I enjoyed that Warrior, it was plenty fast. I mean, the thing was actually surprisingly fast. That big engine, it's just a torque monster. I didn't really like the handling as well. It was just so big and heavy, and I've never had a cruiser before. I've always had either sport bikes or something more like this. And this is much more to my liking. This, you know, when you sit on it, it feels almost like a dirt bike in terms of the ergonomics, much more to what I'm used to. I will say the performance of the bike wasn't quite as quick as I expected. It's got I think it's 948cc motor, inline 4. My good friend Jamie has the Z1000, and of course I had the ZRX 1200. I don't think it's nearly as quick as either one of those. Much more mellow and smooth. I do know that the standard Z900 has a little more aggressive motor than this. This engine was mellowed out and tuned more for torque. I did still expect it to be maybe a little quicker for almost being a 1-liter machine, but it's not slow by any means, just not quite what I expected. I'm not disappointed though. It's got plenty of power, certainly. Just was maybe a little different in the way it ran than what I anticipated, but it's very comfortable. Got LED lighting. I love the retro style of it though. The color scheme, as I said, is gorgeous. Kawasaki did a great job of making it modern while still, you know, keeping the retro style. Really cool graphics. Got a little Z here at the front. I love that. The gauges are very cool. That's one thing I did not like about the Warrior. It was hard to read the damn gauges on it. At least it had a tack. A lot of cruisers don't, but it was kind of difficult to read during the day, and the bike was so long and stretched out, the gauges are a long way away from you. It's just kind of hard to read them during the day, and I just never really cared for it that much in terms of the gauge package. I love this LCD giving you your gear indicator and all that kind of stuff, but while it also has that retro style, the clocks are much easier to read. You know, when you're going down the highway, you can see at a glance what your speed is and what have you. This thing is not very loud. I was kind of surprised. Fire up here. Has a nice tone to it, but the acropovic is surprisingly quiet, really. Yeah, it's certainly not obnoxious. It's not loud enough to annoy the neighbors by any means. Doing a lot of remember watching a lot of YouTube reviews. A lot of people commented on the character of the motor in terms of its sound. It doesn't sound particularly distinct to me. I mean, I wasn't like blown away by the sound, but it sounds fine. It's not bad by any means. That Yamaha had a really good sound, that big V-twin. Maybe it's hard to mimic that. I am, like, as I said, kind of surprised the Akrapovic exhaust is not louder than it was. I put a Two Brothers on my 1200 back in the day, and on an SV650, a bunch of them, and they were always kind of almost obnoxious at night. They're a little loud. This one's much quieter than that. I think you can ride around town here without annoying the neighbors, which would be nice. Brakes are great. Has these, you know, of course, big dual discs in the front. The brakes are significantly better than the Yamaha. That's one thing I did notice on that Cruiser. While they were probably great by Cruiser standards, certainly better than what you'd find probably on most Harleys, they felt wooden and not particularly powerful compared to any sport bike you'd ride. And I do like having a little more brakes there. Of course, my Yamaha didn't have ABS or any of that stuff. This one has traction control, ABS, all the modern goodies as far as that goes. Really like it. I've only ridden it like 3 or 4 times. So far, I'm really liking it. The handling seems great. The suspension seems very comfortable. It's fully adjustable, modern suspension. So as I get a few more miles on it, maybe do another review and let you know what I think. But so far, I'm really loving this motorcycle. Just a lot of fun and a great value for the money.